Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with part 2 of the Q&A. I'm here to answer your questions, and yes, I promise you by the end of this video, one of you will be the winner of Deadpool or Mankind. But to get to that point, let me get through as many of these questions here on my laptop as I possibly can. Moving on to some customizing questions. I am still smiling. Ask what custom was the most enjoyable for you to make? Well, immediately standing out is my big bumper Groot, which due to its massive size provided a really big canvas onto which I could commit a really detailed sculpt of all that tree bark texture. And then a whole host of people, too many to mention, asked, how did you get into customizing action figures? When and how old was I? And how did you learn how to customize? Well, I went to school to study sculpting. Yep, that's something you can do. And then when I graduated with my MFA as a poor art student, I moved back into my parents' attic. I didn't have the space or means to create big sculptures, so I married my creativity with my love of action figures and started creating custom action figures. They were, small projects that I could do squirreled away in my parents' attic. Emmett McGorty asked, Glenn, what inspired you to collect countless action figures? P.S. You're the best YouTuber ever. Thank you, Emmett. To me, buying action figures are a way of investing further into the movies, comics, and TV shows that I love. Merlin Jones Gaming asks, who is your favourite MCU Marvel Legends action figure? That's got to be Black Widow, I would think, from the Winter Soldier series. And following on from that, speaking of Captain America, Overload81 asks, if Chris Evans will retire the role of Captain America, who would be your pick to take over the title? Sebastian Stan's Bucky Barnes or Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson? That's got to be Bucky for me. I think he's a lot more interesting and intriguing character. Maximus9 asks, what is your favourite horror movie? All time, it's got to be David Cronenberg's Fly. Jerak Zoltan asks, what do you think about the upcoming Deadpool movie? I'm really excited about it. It's going to be really refreshing to see a comic book R-rated movie, and it seems that Ryan Reynolds and everyone involved in that movie seem to be really aware of paying service to the fans. Ferris Halabi says, do you think that Marvel will make a new Deadpool figure in the future? With the way that Marvel having a tantrum at the moment in terms of the characters that Fox hold movie rights to, it's looking extremely unlikely. Luke Gibson says, hi Glenn, I've been watching your videos for over 2 years and subscribed the minute I joined YouTube. I'm 14 and I've had some dark times. Thanks for being a place to turn to through the best and the worst parts of my life. Oh, Luke, that's really sweet. I'm glad to be here for you to turn to. Everybody goes through some dark times. I certainly have in my life. And Luke says, who is your favourite hero/heroes? As a team, it's got to be the X-Men. They're protecting a world that fears and hates them. What's more poetic than that? And my single hero, that'd be Jamie Madrox, the multiple man, who is able to replicate himself at will. That's a cool, quirky power to have. He's never going to be alone with that power, and he's got a quirky sense of humour to match, which has made him always fun to read. Dominic Barrett asks, who is your favourite female superhero? That'd have to be the X-Men's Rogue. I just love the way that Rogue is, while she's strong, she's also fragile at the same time. There's just a great poetic mix to that. David Tolan asks, who do you prefer as Magneto, Ian McKellen or Michael Fassbender? Ooh, that's a hard question. We're the future now, Charles, not them. They no longer matter. I guess I'll go with Ian McKellen just because he was the first to set the tone of the character, but I do really like Michael Fassbender at the same time. Following on from that, Callum M98 says, hey Glenn, I've wondered for some time now, since you're such a big fan of the Michael Fassbender Magneto, oops, I just picked Ian McKellen over him. Have you ever considered using the NECA Prometheus David figure's head to make a custom Michael Fassbender Magneto? I've held that David figure in store and I never really feel like the expression it has on its face really suits Magneto. So even though while it's Michael Fassbender's likeness, I'm not sure how it would fit as a Magneto custom. Don Calvin Yu asks, why are you more into Marvel than DC? I love both equally. It's just my first exposure was to Marvel through the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon. It's just Marvel came to me easily, and I think when you say you prefer Marvel, people assume you hate DC, which isn't the case. I've just never invested that much time into it, or have never felt the inclination to invest time in it. For me, the Marvel Universe has always just left me fully satisfied. I've never found myself wanting more than it. Shonad01 asks, what was the first movie you saw at the cinema as a kid? I'm laughing. This is embarrassing. The first movie I saw at the cinema was Mary Poppins. We went on a family outing. I must have been maybe like 5 at the time. My dad and my elder brother went to go and see Star Wars. My mother took me in to see Mary Poppins. Really, my dad was scouting ahead because he was concerned that Star Wars might be too scary for me. So when we were done with Mary Poppins and they were done with Star Wars, he decided that I was man enough to take it at 5 years old, so we all then bundled in to see a second showing of Star Wars. So yeah, a Mary Poppins Star Wars double bill, I guess. Dragon Blood 8699 asks, what are your thoughts on Star Wars Episode 7, Force Awakens? Are you going to collect any of the action figures? You know, I was a huge original trilogy fan growing up, and the Star Wars prequel trilogy literally broke my heart. And you're talking about someone who lined up for 8 hours to watch the first showing of Star Wars Episode 1. So going into a new Star Wars, I'm really concerned it might reopen some new wounds, but with the prequel trilogy, the bar is so low that The Force Awakens can't be any worse than any of those, right? As for the action figures, I'm not sure. You know, if there are some cool, imaginative character designs, I might buy into them. The Lukester asks, what are your thoughts about the new Fantastic Four trailer? You know what? I am staying open-minded about the new Fantastic Four movie. I know the cards are stacked against it and a lot of people have their knives sharpened already, but I'm going to assume from now it's going to be a good movie, and then the movie has to prove me wrong. I think if you assume already it's going to be a bad movie, then it's going to be wish fulfillment. The Mr. Mashling, The Man Who Dreams of Antlers, and John Slackboy all ask which MC movie is your favourite. Definitely the first Iron Man. They made Iron Man interesting, for heaven's sake. That's quite a feat. Andrew Soto asks, hey Glenn, my question is, which movie do you think will be best, Batman vs Superman or Captain America Civil War? I have to go with Civil War just because I'm Marvel through and through, but the stuff that's coming out about Civil War has got me concerned that it's just going to be another big bloated Avengers movie when I'd like to see a sequel to Winter Soldier. Boy Blunder 101 asks, what's your favourite Marvel Legends bath? Undoubtedly head and shoulders above the rest, it's Toy Biz's Giant Man. And second, I'll show Hasbro some love by saying The Blob. On X, the X-Edge 1, Gino Gomez, Win5 Tonex, Harvey Mays and Obey the Ouija all ask, what Marvel Legends figure do you think needs to be remade? That has to be the Marvel Legends X-Men box set Toy Biz Rogue. Gosh, it's an ugly sight to behold. James Boot asks, if you were employed by Hasbro tomorrow, what would be your first act in charge? You know, I would open up a channel of dialogue, probably on social media, between the collectors and Hasbro, so that Hasbro can be sure that collectors' voices are being heard. You know, a good example is I saw Mad Max a couple of weeks ago and loved it. As soon as I got out of the movie, I tweeted NECA and was like, are you guys making Mad Max action figures? It seems the kind of movie property you guys would work with. And they tweeted me back in an hour and were like, we would love to. Unfortunately, the movie company isn't offering those rights to us. I would love a relationship like that with Hasbro. It seems like at the moment the only communication we have with Hasbro as a community is like the 5-minute Shartimus Prime gets to interview them at San Diego Comic-Con. Ninja and Wilfredo Santiago ask, if you could give the Marvel Legends license to any figure company, which and why? I'd probably give it to NECA. You know, with the mean sculpts and high deco that they have, it would be really interesting to see just how they would render comic characters in the form of Marvel Legends. Paul Poo asks, what 80s toy line would you like to see reimagined for the modern day? I'd say Sectors. Remember them? They were like evil insect-looking dudes that rode on giant tarantulas that were actually like a glove that you put your hand into and manipulated. Yeah, those. Kevin Matthews asks, are the Hot Toy figures something you've ever been interested in? I do remember you mentioning the Wolverine figure from Days of Future Past. Yeah, I did really want to get that. I mean, more to support Days of Future Past action figures than anything else. What stops me collecting Hot Toys is two things. One, the money. They're what, £200, $200? I would rather collect 10 Marvel Legends than have one Hot Toy. And really, Hot Toys, you're only ever going to get the main characters. What I like about Marvel Legends is you get those mainstream characters, and then into the mix, you know, you get a Tiger Shark, a Bulldozer, an Arnim Zola. Ultra Vengus asks, can you do a collection video? No, because most of my collection, other than a single bookcase, is actually squirreled away in drawers. I know people have these geek rooms and rooms of doom where they have everything on display. I don't have the room to do that. JM asks, there are tons of Marvel Legends figures that use the Bucky Cap mold. Boy, you ain't lying. Out of all the figures that use that mold, which one is your favourite? I'd say that Carnage from the Ultimate Green Goblin wave. That's pretty cool. The Iron War Machine asks, what is your opinion on the direction Hasbro is taking with their figure lines? You know, I'm really happy with the direction Hasbro is heading in. I've been in this for the long haul, and I've been through the real lows with Hasbro, so I'm kind of currently enjoying the peak that we're on. I mean, you may not like every action figure they're producing, but at least they're producing them, and in volumes, which they've struggled to do in previous years. Irish Sif asks, what are your thoughts on Marvel Legends making more obscure figures like Batroc instead of the more known ones? You know, the B, C, D, Z-list characters really float my boat. If you don't know who these characters are, go read comics, go online, find out more about them. You know, take the time to invest in your action figures and the culture surrounding them. Brickmation says, hey Glenn, I've had a lot of trouble at school lately with people picking on me for my hobbies. They are pretty much similar to yours. Did you have any trouble with this kind of thing when you were at school? Oh, Brickmation, you know what? Reading what you just said makes me want to go to your school and bash the heads of anyone who picks on you for your hobbies. At school, I don't think I really had any problems, but then I didn't really have any friends. I was kind of a loner kid flying under the radar of bullies. But you know, just stick it out, don't let them change you. Cameron Farrell asks, my question is, do you still watch wrestling? Generally at the moment I'm only watching the pay-per-views on the WWE network. I'm not up with any of the programming, Raw, SmackDown, Superstars, all of that. But I am making use of the WWE network. I'm working my way through all the ECW pay-per-views from the very beginning, which I've never previously watched, so that's been good fun. And likely the most asked question now, who's your favourite wrestler? Well, all time it's got to be Andre the Giant. And then also asked, who are my favourite NXT superstars? Finn Balor. I cannot wait to get a Finn Balor action figure. Fernando Renteria says, if you were in the WWE Hall of Fame, who would you want to induct you? Well, I assume this is the YouTube wing of the WWE Hall of Fame, so I guess it would be appropriate for Grimm to induct me. Come on, who else? Yayo Dancing says WWE versus Marvel Dream Match. Well, I mean, WWE superstars are powerful guys, but they are just powerful guys, whereas Marvel characters, they're superhuman. They'd wipe the floor with WWE wrestlers, wouldn't they? Unless, you know, Marvel is pitting the likes of Aunt May against Tamina Snuka, then maybe the WWE would stand a chance. James Bucklow asks, if you could choose one WWE wrestler to become a superhero, who would it be and what would their powers be? It would be the Bella Twins, and their power would be that Nikki and Brie are able to merge their bodies into one superhumanly strong, she-hulking female form. That'd be cool, right? Toy WWE Adventures asks, will you be doing more Q&A videos? Would you like to see more Q&A videos? Maybe like a monthly short Q&A video? I don't know, let me know in the comments. Phew, so I know even with splitting this video into 2 parts, there are so many questions I've yet to answer. I will be answering more questions with my co-host Craig Warwick on our Articulation Assembled podcast. It's available on iTunes, Stitcher and SoundCloud. Check out the links in the description beneath this video. And if you haven't heard your question be answered, maybe we will be answering it there. So I'm using a random generator online where you enter all the names. Here they all are, all 1008 people who asked questions, and then all you need to do is at the click of the button, it draws a name at random. Drum roll please. Who's going to win the Deadpool or Mankind? Here goes. Click. It's JV5268. Congratulations JV5268, you are no doubt now the envy of all 1007 of the other people who asked questions and didn't win. And I'll now be in contact with you to see if you want Deadpool or Mankind and drop whichever one you want in the mail to you. Bye.